ahead of her disciplinary hearing tomorrow by the Democratic Alliance.
The party says everything is in place for its federal council to go ahead with proceedings. This after it dismissed the request by De Lille to have the hearings held in public.
De Lille is ready for tomorrow, saying as a public representative the matter should be open to the public and that she's ready to go to court if needs be.
The first issue will be we want a list of witnesses. We want to know all of those charges. Because in the Steenhuisen report that I've taken to the High Court for review, in that report there are no names of people, there are no complaints against me, there are no surnames, there are no actual dates. So I was actually found guilty on issues which I've never been afforded an opportunity to state my case. But I am hell-bent, like they are hell-bent getting rid of me. I'm hell-bent on clearing my name and restoring the reputational damage that they've done to me.
The DA Federal Executive Council says De Lille will face charges of, among other things, misconduct relating to her role as leader and maladministration in the city of Cape Town.
We are a voluntary organisation. We have a constitution, we have rules of practice. Those rules of practice and the constitution were in place when Patricia De Lille became a member. She served on the federal executive for many years. She was aware of what the rules were, so I don't understand why she now wants to change the rules. But be that as it may, the ordinary position is that these things are in private. She needs to make a case to the panel that they should be in public. The panel will hear that argument and will make its judgment when the panel meets tomorrow.
Proceedings are expected to start at 9 tomorrow morning. Mariska Botha, SABC News, Cape Town.
Well, the embattled mayor joins us now from our Cape Town studios. Let's cross now to Mayor Patricia De Lille. Good evening to you, and thank you for talking to us. I suppose I could be cheeky and start this interview by asking you, is this your last one as mayor of Cape Town?
Well, you know, I'm just listening to Mr. James Self. And the irony is that it's the DA itself that didn't follow its own constitution, that didn't follow the systems in the DA and due process. That's why we are where we are today. I mean, I had to fight to get the party to finally charge me, which they did on the 14th of January. And also the party made a commitment at the time that they will put 60 days aside for the hearing and that they will not move a vote of no confidence in me. But a week later, the same party instructed the DA caucus to vote with the ANC and the ANC's vote of no confidence against me. And when that failed, 2 weeks later, the party moved their own vote of no confidence in me, which also failed. And that's why we are back now at the hearing. I'm ready for tomorrow. I would like the people who've made those allegations of corruption, of maladministration, and all of these kinds of allegations that have really tainted and damaged my reputation in this country. I'm challenging them to come forward with the evidence so it can be tested. And that's why I want the hearing to be open. Because for 6 months, my voice was not heard while my reputation is being destroyed by people in the Democratic Alliance. I am an elected public representative. The people of Cape Town are entitled to know what the mayor has done wrong and what is the response of the mayor.
Mayor, I have to come in there. James Self, as you heard in that introductory clip, says that you signed up for the DA's protocols, that you served on the federal executive. In fact, he says you yourself presided over similar cases as far as discipline is concerned. Why do you want the rules changed just because it's you?
No, it's not changing the rules. It is really leveling the playing fields, because the DA broke their own rules by not following due process, by not following their own systems to charge me, to have an open process. I was found guilty in the Steenhuisen Commission report without a hearing. I was found guilty on the basis of people who have not been able to put their names or surnames to any charge. So all of those wrong things can only be corrected in an open, in a transparent manner. And that's all I'm asking for, is to have it open to the media, have it open to the public, and so that I can explain my side of the story.
He says this is of no interest to the public. This is an internal party matter, that if you have any concerns, there are correct forums where you can pursue those.
Well, certainly, I don't believe the same. I believe that it is for the public interest. I am a public representative. I have been elected by more than 66% of the people of the city of Cape Town. And those people are also entitled to know what the mayor is being accused of and what is the response of the mayor. So I've made an official application. The official correspondence from the party says that the chairperson of the panel will hear my application tomorrow, and then what they will do is that the chairperson will then make a decision tomorrow, and that the party will abide by that decision. So I will be going to make my submission to the panel tomorrow morning.
What do you say to criticism that you can't have it both ways? If the party is as bad as you're suggesting, people are saying your own credibility is at stake, because why do you want to remain in a formation that is as bad as you are suggesting? Why not leave?
Bongani, if I must leave tomorrow, and if I must resign tomorrow, South Africa, including you, will say, oh, she's guilty. That's why she's resigning. That's why she's running away. It cannot be that a reputation and a name that I've built up in this country over many years get destroyed without allowing me a fair opportunity to state my case. So it is not about a personal ambition. It is about clearing my name once and for all. And I will stop at nothing that the reputation that I've built up in this country, my name has become synonymous with fighting corruption. Today I'm being accused that I'm corrupt. So I can't walk away. Integrity, trust, and your reputation, money cannot buy. And that is what I am also hell-bent on protecting and restoring my own reputation in South Africa.
You've objected to, for example, the participation of former Deputy Justice Minister Sheila Kamara, who was appointed to that post, in fact, by no less than Nelson Mandela. Why have you brought up her apartheid past? I mean, this is part of what the DA is saying about your objections to this process. They're saying that it really looks petty.
I am going to make my representation to the panel tomorrow as to why I'm asking for the recusal of Sheila Kamara. The other reason too, Bongani, is that Sheila Kamara is part of the DA's branch in Constantia. That DA branch in Constantia and the ward councillor of Constantia voted in favor of the motion of no confidence. And I see that as a conflict of interest because she comes from the same branch. And therefore there cannot be objectivity if, the branch has made a decision to support the vote of no confidence. But I do have other reasons too that I will advance tomorrow when I go to the hearing.
A number of critics of the Democratic Alliance are saying this is yet an example of how the party has failed to transform. There's a narrative out there that suggests that you're under fire because of the color of your skin. And it's a narrative that I'm not convinced you've done a lot to dispel. So let's hear it right now. Do you agree with it or do you disagree with it?
I just think, Bongani, the DA has missed a golden opportunity to show that we are a party of systems and due process. And it doesn't matter whether you're the mayor or the premier, we are all subject to the same processes and systems of the party. And that opportunity has been lost because they've developed a different standard for Patricia compared to other members of the party. And that has created the perception that, I am being treated differently from other people in the party. Whether it's because of my color, it is neither here nor there. To me, it's about the values, it's about the principles that I stand for and that I will fight for.
But it does speak to what the future of the Democratic Alliance might be. If the perception is that you're being targeted because you're not white or that you've fallen out with a certain section of the party, that's surely something you need to respond to, because this has been your political home for a number of years now. So, do you think you're being targeted because you're not white? Yes or no?
No, you know what? I don't want to succumb to the race question. Yes, it could be racism, but there's a lot more to it because of the way I have been treated. I really feel that I've been bashed, I've been bullied because they didn't want to afford me an opportunity to go through a due process. And yes, because we live in a country where race relationship is very strained, we have to respect each other irrespective of what race you are. And that is why I've said before that I will be the last person of color that will be treated like this, because I will make sure that anybody in future will have the opportunity to be afforded a due process in terms of the party's own constitution.
If this doesn't go well for you, I mean, ultimately at the end of all of this, you face possibly you face a possible expulsion. What comes next to you? And surely after all of this, has been followed through to its logical end, one can easily say that the relationship has broken down irretrievably. What's next for Patricia De Lille after the Democratic Alliance?
I'm ready to go tomorrow. I'm ready to resign tomorrow, but until such time that I've cleared my name, that my reputation is being restored, that all of these untested allegations about me is tested, then I will walk, because I will serve my country in any capacity. I will continue to serve the most vulnerable, the poor in our society, the landless, the unemployed, because that is my life that I've committed, not only to the struggle against apartheid, but also with our new constitution to make sure many more people taste the fruits of our new democracy. So I will certainly not be unemployed, because I'm committed to serve my country in any position after this.
I suppose one of the big stories at the end of last week was the decision that was announced by the National Prosecuting Authority that former President Jacob Zuma is now going to be facing those charges. Is there a part of you that's saddened by the fact that were it not for your efforts initially, certainly, and indeed your parties thereafter, we wouldn't have come to this point as far as that matter is concerned? Is there part of you that at this moment, when victory seems certain, at least in terms of getting the matter to be heard in court, you two are no longer together and singing from the same hymn sheet?
Well, the issue of Jacob Zuma, it has taken many, many years for us to get here after almost 19 years. And so Jacob Zuma's always said that he would like to have his day in court, and now he's going to have his day in court. It was in September of 1999 when I went to Parliament, blew the whistle, and asked for an investigation into that. And so it's long overdue. We could have saved the country a lot of money, millions, if this decision was taken earlier, and that if we didn't have to spend all of that money on the Sariti Commission, and the Sariti Commission was really put there with a predetermined outcome to show that there's no evidence. So I'm very happy that we're going ahead. But what is now called the De Lille dossier that I took to Parliament in September of 1999, there are a number of other allegations that must also still be tested. Because in the De Lille dossier, what has happened, Tony Ngeni was successfully prosecuted, Shabir Sheikh was successfully prosecuted, and now it's the turn of Jacob Zuma. So I think it's a victory for our country. It's a victory that finally we're going to get to the bottom of this arms deal that has been staining and plaguing us for many, many years.
Well, that was Cape Town Mayor Patricia De Lille. It's certainly a story that we're going to be keeping an eye on in the coming days. Many will say, just like Jacob Zuma, perhaps she needs to have her side of that story told. We'll certainly be keeping an eye on the developments there. Now, social media has been abuzz. We're now going to take a look at some of the comments that have been made.
So let's take a look behind us. Grant Son replying, saying that DA is treading on dangerous ground. I think he means with this fallacious case against Patricia De Lille. They can forget about making a significant impact at next year's election. If the objective is to oust her from the party, they need to rethink their strategy.
Another tweet saying Patricia De Lille was publicly smeared by the DA. Let her be publicly cleared by the DA. They've treated the lady like a common criminal. Secret reports, closed meetings and shady allegations by anonymous sources. The DA should hang their heads in shame. Hashtag De Lille, hashtag Patricia De Lille.
Bra Suffocate, I agree with De Lille that the hearing should be public. If the DA has nothing to hide, then this should not be a problem for them. Let the public be able to measure the strength of your case against the lady.
The DA and Mmusi Maimane are a minefield of contradictions and double standards, says Wesley Fester. Glynis Breitenbach called for her NPA hearing to be open to the media, but now calls for De Lille's hearing to be closed. Mmusi will fight for Athol Trollopin PE, but will leave De Lille to hang out in Cape Town. So those are just some of the tweets. One more, Francis?
Zuko Zeka with utterances from James Self and Mmusi Maimane. Are we expected to believe that the DA will give Patricia De Lille a fair trial? And this is something that the DA has to really counter. There seems to be a lot of suspicion about the charges against her. So the DA has not convinced the entire public that the charges levelled are fair. On the other hand, there's some who believe the other way. But there hasn't been a clear and I think convincing communicative strategy. I
think the party is going to fight hard to manage the fallout from whatever happens with Patricia De Lille. Now, Nelson Mandela Bay ANC councillor Kamalihleli Maqula has been acquitted on charges of assault to cause grievous bodily harm in Port Elizabeth. In Port Elizabeth's Magistrates Court, Maqula was accused of stabbing Council Chief Whip Werner Senegal with a sharp object during a brawl in council chambers in 2016.
In handing down judgment, the magistrate said